on FootMex Live.
Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Wiso from FootMexSource.com, and with me, three great individuals to discuss El Tri, Mexicans abroad, Liga MX, and all things related to Mexican football. Let's see who's our panelist today. Cesar, how are you, sir?
Doing well. As I just told you like 5 minutes ago, I just finished setting this all up right now at the very last minute. I kept you guys waiting. Apologize, but now I'm here. I'm ready.
Very important to have a good background.
Very important, yeah. Very important. You guys don't care about the books. Who reads books? Who reads books?
Yeah. You have to have your bufanda. You know, you have to have your scarf collection.
Agreed.
Even though it's really hot wherever we're at. All right, Mr. Bufanda King himself.
That's me.
Jason, your new name, Jason from Soccer Mexicana. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm just living in a world of bufanda, and it's a good one. It's a good one. I highly recommend it to everyone.
Nice. And always good to have Mr. Nayib Moran. Mr. I would have to say our Mexicans abroad expert knows everything there has to be about our Mexicans abroad. Good to have him on. Nayib, how are you?
Good. Let me use a little bit of Italian because of Rafa Marquez. Buona notte a tutti.
Hey, all right.
Today, Rafa Marquez. Tutti, a todos, a todos. A big move for Rafa Marquez at 35 years old. Goes to Hellas Verona. You know, Verona's a heck of a city. You know, it's a gorgeous city to live in. At 35, it's a Serie A league of the Maldinis. Yepes played there with the Colombian center back at 37 or so. You know, so it's a league for the 35-year-olds and up. and Marquez makes a good decision.
It's right below the MLS. That's a 40 and up.
Yeah. And look at Tony. Look at Tony's 37. He's on the team too. Verona, right? Yeah. Pretty soon. Yeah.
All right. Well, as you can see, we have a great cast today, and we're going to have a great show for all of you. We're talking a lot about all of the moves. Finally, a week ago, we were what's happening with our Mexicans abroad, where are they going to go, and then all of a sudden, this surprising, especially Rafa Marquez, out of nowhere. You know, I mean, we were looking that he was leaving. He's going to go to here or there, but now it's finally official. Talk a little bit about the official games in Mexico against Bolivia and Chile that FMF with the Soccer United Marketing have released. Also, everything that happened in Liga MX. We'll go through the highlights of the four goal games, as we like to call it this weekend. And obviously, maybe a little bit about the press conference that Piojo did have in the last days regarding what he wants to do until the 2018 World Cup, excuse me.
Going back in time, folks.
Yeah, going back in time, Russia. All right, so let's get to it. Let's not waste any time. Let's go with the big news for today, especially in my heart, letting go of a player like Rafa Marquez, my Leon. Finally, the news came out that he will be leaving. He is going to, like we just said, to Verona, to play to Hellas. Start the Hellas jokes now, like Cesar said on his Twitter. It's going to be Hellas exciting. It's going to be great. So let me hear just kind of your thoughts and on what you guys think about this move. If no one else is moving to Europe, you know, there's Rafa Marquez to show you how it's done. Cesar, what do you think?
Well, what I'm most excited about, I already mentioned this on Twitter, is the fact that there's already a Rafael Marquez, already a center back. He's a Brazilian 30-year-old on the team. The only difference is instead of a Z, it's an S. So I would love it if there was there's a duo of Rafael Marquez going forward in the Serie A. It'd be awesome.
Rafael Marquez to Rafael Marquez, back to Rafael Marquez. Wonderful. I'm glad those are the best news. Good. Jason, what are your thoughts?
I'm mostly I was kind of trying to find ways to really dive into Serie A this season. So I feel like I have one more. I'm just okay, I could try to hunt down some Verona matches now. I'm not going to, but I could. I mean, it's one more reason to really dive in. I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. I'm a little bummed for Liga MX because it's just one more loss where it was another pull. It was another pull of something in the league that was intriguing, and it's not there anymore. It's okay. It's good for him. Good move, but at the same time, it's okay.
Many people are saying, there are more there should be more players that would go over there. Why aren't they looking at other players that are maybe not as have the history of Marquez, but are better, more fit? How about younger? Why aren't they making the move too?
Well, does he have? I mean, can he play as a EU player or whatever? Because he played in Barcelona for so long. Is that so?
Yep.
That's why I'd assume.
Yeah.
There you go. I think that's the answer right there. Why it's so easy for them to go. We wanted to have a discussion, and Jason just goes, "Well, he doesn't have the AU passport, dork."
Yep. Podcast over.
Nayib, you know a lot. You've said that a lot. The players that are there, the history. What's your thoughts on the Marquez trade?
I think it's a move that tells a little bit more, tells a lot about the player that Rafa Marquez is in Mexican football history, because you have Marquez coming from Barcelona and then he goes to the Red Bulls, where he didn't have the experience that maybe he had hoped for, or we had hoped for he would have had in New York. It was a little bit too chaotic. He moves to León and wins the bicampeonato as the captain of the team, and then he does, not an extraordinary World Cup, but a World Cup good enough to get the attention of clubs in Europe again at 35. And I think he makes this decision based out of his own work. I mean, he worked his butt off to once again return to Europe in a league that he always wanted to play. When he was in Barcelona, he always said he wanted to play in Italy. Mm-hmm. He does accomplish that dream with a team that finished in 10th place last season. And before that season had been in Serie B, in second division. So, it's a club that that's in a city of a lot of history, and where he will feel really, really, comfortable, I'd say, living and walking around the city of Verona. That's where Romeo and Juliet was set by Shakespeare. So, I mean, it's a romantic city. The wife is going to be happy. Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a lot of ties. It's a good decision for him. It's bad for León, but León accepts, acts according to the plan. I mean, never puts any we're not going to let our captain leave. They knew from the beginning that Rafa Marquez was attracting a lot of teams from Europe. The deal comes in, the money comes in, and Marquez leaves, and now we'll see how that goes.
Definitely. What a stand-up guy. Obviously, he's going out there, and as you mentioned, a great city, a great place to retire. But at the same time, we've been saying that about Rafa for a while. I mean, when he went to the Red Bulls, another great place for him to retire. Why not? When he came down to León, well, that's a nice place for him to retire. So who knows what's going to happen, especially with what he has, the leadership and what he brings out of teams. I think that's mostly what coaches like. I've obviously his decisions in the past have hurt him, but I think it's great for him to say one thing from his letter that he did write to the fans of León. He said, many speculated that I only came to finalize my career and retire, but I have to respond to the confidence that the club had given me, and I knew it was the right place to do that. So just, an ongoing that we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, obviously we see Cuauhtemoc Blanco at age 46, still going.
46?
He can always,
I think 56,
41,
right?
41,
56,
41.
86.
I think that he can, I can see him even come back again. I mean, going there for a couple of years, coming back, but hopefully he has a great career over there, and he does retire and finds a way to somehow even further his career where he's been from the days of Atlas, to now. What an example of a career for any Mexican fan and any Mexican player for what he's done, from captaining 4 World Cups, scoring in the World Cups, being in Champions, winning the Champions. I could have to say probably one of the best careers, if not the best career, out of a Mexican player that we have seen. So great example. For León fans, not so good, great news, especially since we will be missing a key to, I think, the championship, as much as people didn't want to say, but he did hold that leadership. Now Magallón, which I don't think he can come up and step up to what he had. I think Magallón stays, he still is a great player, but not to pretty much take over the spot, the center back. So León is looking for that position, and will be interesting to see what would happen. But
especially since you guys are also involved with the CONCACAF Champions League too.
Yep.
So it's going to be how you guys deal with that as well.
Looking for the tricampeonato.
And just remind, the game that León is scheduled to have in Barcelona against FC Barcelona, Rafa Marquez will play with León 45 minutes It's because there was a lot of speculation when the move was confirmed that, oh, Marquez is not going to play in Barcelona, when it was kind of like his game to play.
Yeah.
And so, that's nice that it will be his last game with Leon. Will be in Camp Nou, which is what a way to close a nice, time with Leon, Rafa Marquez and Leon.
Definitely. So we'll excited for that. That kind of will take us into the news of the week, I would think. Another Mexicans abroad. We did mention it. Tom and I, we had a little soccer show, Mexican Soccer Show Express, but I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. Obviously, Memo Ochoa going into Malaga, finally, obviously being official, being presented, the people having a great press conference on what he's saying. A little interesting fact on the number 13, it was kind of, if you read on it, how he swears by that number. So it was fun listening to him, and I don't think we've seen Memo Ochoa. I mean, you've seen press conference, but that, talking for 5-10 minutes about what he's doing, what he wants to do with the club. So it was great to listen to that press conference. And then now, obviously, today was his first practice with the team. If you haven't gotten a chance to, there's a video out there with his training with the keeper, obviously the keeper coach, and it's great to see Memo that way. So I'd like to throw it out. What's your first thoughts? You said it, and not to get too crazy angry or crazy excited. Is this a good move for Memo? Is pretty much my question, Nayib. And you're our Mexicans abroad expert. Is this a good move for Memo?
I think when you look at it from the perspective of elevating more his market in Europe, I think it's a move that kind of touch base to all the parts, to Malaga, to Ochoa's representative. In the case that everyone ends up winning in this deal. Let's remember that Ochoa is sponsored by Nike. Malaga kit is Nike. There's a lot of deals. There was a lot, that might look insignificant, but that's part of the deal, probably hidden in that contract. I think the deal is sort of will permit Ochoa to venture another team if he does, in fact, have a great season, this one with Malaga. Malaga will not be a team that's going to be competing for the top spots in Spain. I think that's pretty clear. It's not, your Sevilla, Real Sociedad, Villarreal, which are teams that are not the Real Madrid, Barcelona's, but are up there and top of the table. Valencia will also be part of on the top of the table. I think in general, Ochoa will use Malaga as another trampoline. It's another league. La Liga is better than La Liga in France because of the exceptional players that are in the Liga coming in. I mean, it's just crazy the way that Real Madrid and FC Barcelona are handling the transfer market as of right now, just basically getting every big player available in the world, which could be against or for the league. It plays on both sides. Ochoa will use this, of course, as a trampoline. I think that's the conclusion I have. I would have expected something better after the World Cup, but it's what it is. It's what there was. It was a team that was pushing more for him.
I think a silver. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Cesar.
I'll say a silver lining in all this is, like, for example, with him and Ajaccio, what made him so popular too in the French Ligue 1 is the fact that Ajaccio, I mean, they had 18 shots like against them every game, and maybe due to the fact that Malaga, they might be at the very bottom, so maybe this will help his career. The fact that there's going to probably be a decent amount of shots on him, week after week after week. So perhaps it'll be kind of a good thing. Maybe that's going to be the silver lining as opposed to him making a move to a bigger squad. I think we all had some unrealistic expectations, during the World Cup.
Unrealistic? What else does he have to do? I think the realistic expectation would be that he should go to a bigger club.
He should, but there's
the craziest big club.
Yeah. But there's a huge amount of great keepers out there right now. But
that are going like Ospina to Arsenal and Keylor Navas to Real Madrid. Is that the Europeo passport really that important? As Jason said, it all goes down to the passport.
Yeah. Especially with a goalkeeper, too. Yeah. It's not a position that teams want to use a foreign player with. Like they just feel there's enough European players, I think. So, no, I mean, I feel like that little bit of a letdown because I kind of assumed Ochoa would be going to a bigger club, but at the same time, exactly like Nayib was saying, he's going to a better league and he's going to be a little more in the spotlight, even though he's in a similar kind of club in relation. But it's he's got the bigger spotlight and he can move on from here. We'll see. Hopefully he does.
I do agree it's a small step up. I don't think he's backtracking at all whatsoever. Obviously, La Liga is much better than Liga. So I think it's a slight step up, but maybe not as big of a step as we would have liked.
I think, and one certain detail that sort of generates a lot of speculation, a lot of confusion, is the fact that Ochoa was a free agent. When Ospina was not a free agent, Keylor Navas was not a free agent. The clubs had to pay their current clubs for them to move on to this new club. Ochoa was the only good goalkeeper in the World Cup that was a free agent.
Yeah,
and you would expect that the teams would have gone for him right away because it's a good buyer maybe. There's different areas maybe in his playing style or videos that are out there that make you believe that perhaps they see that Ochoa has not been clear-cut tested. In La Liga, he will be tested even more. I mean, in Ligue 1, it was just, PSG and Monaco. And Radamel Falcao got injured right away in Monaco, so we didn't even see Falcao taking shots at Ochoa this past season. It will be totally different in La Liga. There's excellent teams with good forwards, Valencia, Athletic Bilbao, Real Sociedad, Real, and of course it would be nice to see Giovanni and Carlos Vela taking shots at Ochoa. It adds a little bit to the spectacle.
I'm going to say right now, Guardado's going to score a golazo. He always does against Ochoa. That same weird step into the left, and then Ochoa oh my gosh, America once again in Atlas. I think as much as being bitter about where he's at, obviously it's the best step for him with obviously the choices that he had. Maybe he wasn't. We don't know the back end of the story of what's happening and the money, representantes, whatever. But obviously, if this is his, it's good for him to leave that team. And if this is only it to get to La Liga to take that step, who knows? He can be there for a year, 2 years, or good thing he signed for a 3-year contract with them. So hopefully they can get some good matches, and I'm sure maybe get into an Europa League spot with having a better keeper. Willy Caballero was a great keeper, has a great legacy at that, in Malaga. So we will see where he's going to go. And do obviously in that league, but finally we could turn the page on Ochoa. We were waiting and waiting and waiting on where he was going to go, and
waiting for so long.
A lot of people were saying that what's going to happen with Ochoa, doesn't have a team, but we can turn the page. So any last thoughts on Le Mem kind of going to Malaga? All right.
I'm excited to see him block Carlos Vela shots.
Oh, there's worries about chips. Carlos, yeah. All right, keeping over to the Mexicans abroad. Obviously, Chicharito, big story. For those of you that watched the game, last time we were talking about, obviously, the big game, 109,000, was it? 816, something around there. Big record crowd in Michigan, where Chicharito got to be a part of that and scoring which I could say a great goal. In the last half. But let's talk about not only that, but about the coach, Luis Van Gaal, the villain, the Mexican villain, which is a lot of what he's saying after practice, saying that he wasn't that impressed. He couldn't say some greatness of it because he did lose some spots. He didn't like his, not to say his link up like so many people say, but what he was supposed to do, and missing some opportunities kind of thrown in there. You don't see that too much from the coaches, especially against Chicharito. But what do you guys think? Then we saw him again in Miami against Liverpool and playing that role, missing, I think, an opportunity. Not as easy as people would think about it, just a tap-in, but also giving a great pass to Rooney, and I think playing well, which he was subbed around the 60th minute. But I'll throw you out there. Will he leave? And I'll tell that to Nayib. In 1 week, we'll be talking about him leaving, yes or no?
I think I will say yes.
Oh,
I think I will go yes because you see the players that Van Gaal will have. He will have his Dutch captain, which was Robin van Persie in the World Cup. He has Rooney, who's in top shape. I think he had a good...
Rooney is like a different person. He's lost like Rooney 20 pounds, got hair, bright blue eyes. It's like the first time I've ever
definitely not the
hair.
Definitely not the Rooney that we saw in the World Cup with England. You know, and Danny Welbeck is there as well.
Oh, Welbeck.
I think those are the three forwards that Van Gaal is going to go. I mean, and then Chicharito is going to be like a fourth option. I think that there will be clubs out there that will make a bid for Chicharito. It'll be nice if it's a Premier League club, like the one that's rumored out there is Southampton. You know, it'd be nice for Chicharito to be in Southampton and score on Louis van Gaal's Manchester United and prove that he is a capable forward. I think I say yes. The league and the team is still to be determined, but I do see Chicharito out of Manchester United.
Well, it's to say that, does he have a spot at Manchester United? Obviously, he did start him against Liverpool to give him the minutes, so he's getting him there. And I mean, he is scoring, he is giving some passes, but I feel like in the system, you see Chicharito playing wide. It looked like maybe a 1-3-4-3 that Luis van Gaal likes to play, and with three forwards, kind of the play. And I don't see Chicharito's best interest of how he's using him. I would think so. I don't think Van Gaal has him in his plans. He said it straight out. I'm not really that impressed in where he's at. And he did have a list of people that he's looking at to see if they're going to stay. I think Kakagwe was in there, some other players that were in there. So the Southampton, yes, that's fine going into another club, getting minutes, being the starter, being that team. I wouldn't be upset about that. Also,
I would be pretty upset about that. But like Southampton, like they've gutted their team. Like, so he's going to be like up the front of a team that's just completely just a disaster. They have no players. Like he's going to be there, and like so yeah, he'll get playing time. But like, is he going to get service? Is it like? No, like I would so much rather see him leave the Premier League and go to like Italy and go so much like where he gets a different experience, like plays with different types of players.
But
like,
wouldn't he get also his passport? I think if he stays in England.
I don't know. I don't understand these passport things. Like,
let's put the passport aside and just focus. Let's put Chicharito on a team that he's actually gonna play as a starter. I think that's
playing is good.
Key.
Yes, and like to answer
and
I
will agree with you, Jason. I mean, I put in the Southampton rumor out there.
If there's no other, all right, let's stop it. If there's no other team out there except for Southampton or Manchester United, Jason.
Oh, Southampton. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Get out of Manchester United. I don't actually you come to me for pessimism and like you're going to get it because I don't think he's going to leave. Like I don't think he's in Van Gaal's plans, but I also think he has extreme value as a substitute, and like people see that, and like yes, we're gonna bring him in the 80th minute, and he could run at goal and hit in some headers, and like people want that, and like he like how angry is he going to be if he doesn't move on? Like maybe he won't be super angry. So like I don't think he's gonna go angry. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like I could see him being there another year. Absolutely. I really hope that's not the case, but I think it's going to be.
Go ahead, Cesar.
I was saying, Van Gaal has also said that there are too many players like in similar positions on the field. And the first thing that I think of is the striker position. And then when you look at all the strikers, it looks like Chicharito would be the first one just knocked out of that spot when they've got the four different strikers. So I think it seems like he's got to go out. It seems like Van Gaal probably doesn't want him there. And as we've all mentioned, I want him to go out. I'll keep him in Southampton. They could just have a strategy where they just kick the ball out to him and just him try to do like hitting it in the back of his head, seeing what happens.
There's also some from the Guardian, I think it was, and I'm pretty sure it was in England.
Yeah, it was the Guardian.
The Guardian, right? Having a deal with Kakagwa and also Chicharito go to Atletico Madrid for 20 million. So that's something that I know we've been reporting out. And I mean, that'd be great. Obviously, Atletico Madrid is what everybody was talking about 2 weeks ago with the rumors. And Nayib, you were telling us a little bit about early in the show, before the show, about why people automatically just said, oh, he's not going to go. Atletico doesn't want him there.
Yeah, and I think it has to be. We got to just follow the words that Cholo Simeone said in Mexico City before the game against Club America. Is the fact that if the Chicharito option is there till August 31st, the option is still possible. I think you can close it out. Enrique Cerezo, the president of Atletico Madrid, also said something confusing words, but of course he's going to confuse the press. He's not going to say straightforward, we want this player and we want him now on loan. You know, they're just gonna see how the market keeps going. You know, if they get Chicharito, it's probably gonna be on loan. You know, I really don't see a club that's gonna buy Chicharito from Manchester United at the moment. It could come out all of a sudden. You know, like I was saying last week, we're gonna see how Valencia works this deal with the new owner that's gonna inject a lot of money into the club. It's already around there, and they could ask for they could get Chicharito right away, so just because they have the money now. But you know, it's all about patience and see which club wants them. Actually, you know, that's I think it's just the thing with Chicharito is just do we want to see him always as a super sub? I think he's more than just a super sub. He's a player that's capable to score a lot of goals if you give him a good playing time and a lot of support, you know, and we'll see if that turns out to be true.
It'd be a good stat to pull up, and maybe somebody that is watching this has either the time or to do with the resources to see how many games did Chicharito score on when he started, and to kind of see that, because we're always giving minutes, right? But let's see on that, or take away the minutes when he started, just sub minutes to see how much. You know, not games that, because everyone talks about 800 minutes and he scored 16 goals. Take away the starting, you know, those games and just sub and compare that to the goals to the starting minute. And we'll see that. There was a super sub, obviously, does not make sense. But I think also that he's, you know, like everyone says, you know, he should go, he should get out, he should play. But then for some reason, and I might be the only one, I feel like there's still hope for Chicharito in Manchester with injuries or with whatever. I mean, seeing that top three, I don't think it's going to happen. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's due Wiso because of how spectacular his rookie season was with Manchester United. I think no one expected that big boom of Chicharito, like just coming into the box and just scoring everything with every part of his body, you know, and I think that was kind of spectacular. And for the Mexican fan, that was unexpected because in Chivas we just saw this exciting young forward that was scoring a lot of goals, but we did not see that forward exploding so much in the Premier League, which is it could be arguably the best league in the world because of how physical it is, and he just skyrocketed. But then since then it just went down the
with the team. I mean, we could say also that with the team went down. It's not like Manchester United were winning, and we'll see that. I mean, there was no
same player still. That's the hope, right? Because I'm not sure we know that anymore.
All right, last thoughts on Chicharito, Cesar or Jason? You voice your opinion.
You mentioned, I mean, this is completely off topic, but that's intentional. I wonder if there's also like a Japanese soccer show where they're talking about like getting Kagawa out of there, like, because he also needs to get out of there. They're probably having this exact same conversation, like he needs to move on, like he needs to be playing, and like
why
so maybe
is Kagawa? Why is he a super sub?
Exactly.
If you listen to a Japanese soccer show, please give us the link so we can.
Yeah, we need to link this up.
Have a great conversation about why our players aren't playing in Europe.
It'd be awesome.
All right. Speaking of someone who is scoring and is a lot of goals and is still not making the move to a bigger club because they devalued it, according to Ricardo Peláez and America, saying that we're not going to give, our star for pennies to Porto. Has come out and said that at America we have a fan base that is demanding and we need results. I'm not here to deliver to the board of direction paycheck for paycheck transfers. I'm here to deliver championship titles, says Peláez. And he goes on saying that in the move, they offered them pennies on what he's really worth, especially with the hat trick that he had over the weekend. That's another one that I will ask: is Raúl Jiménez going to leave? Last week they said no, he's not leaving, but obviously, every week that he keeps scoring and has a great game, are players looking at him, or are their deals coming through for America?
I would assume he's going. I'd assume it's just like they're negotiating and they're going back and forth a little bit. So like I would think he's going. I don't know. It seems like the writing's been on the wall for a while at this point. So whether it happens now, I could see it being like a Reyes situation as well, where they sell him off and keep him on loan for a little while if you finish the season or even next season. But like I imagine he's going at some point soon.
Yeah.
This weekend really helped his case too, didn't it? I mean,
Sure.
the last weekend, geez, with that hat trick. I mean, more than even I mean, out of all the games I watched that weekend, I mean, America, and especially with Raul Jimenez in front, he just seemed to be, he was just having fun. He was just enjoying himself, especially in that second half. He's just on another level. So I would not be surprised at all whatsoever if there was rumors beforehand. And then after that weekend, like, I would not be surprised at all whatsoever if he were to leave.
How good of a player is Raul? And I know that we've always known he was great, but given the time, the talent, and now it's like this confidence that he has, and just, I mean, even his penalty kicks, everything that he's doing, how he's scoring, how he's doing that, is just, it's amazing that we have someone that is homegrown. Not only that, that it's coming from our cantera, from one of the biggest clubs, you know, especially America. When was the last time they had a cantera player like Raul Jimenez?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think the Raul deal, it could go along those lines of how Reyes was sold to Porto. But let's remind ourselves that the deal happened, and then Reyes was able to have a preseason with Porto. Because, you know, if, for example, they sell Raul now and Raul will report in January, I think the adaptation period is kind of messed up. You really won't have an adaptation period. So, I mean, it's pretty confusing there. But if you think about it, if you take Raul out of America is no longer a title contender, a serious title contender. And I think that's a big thing for America now. You know, they want the title. And without Reyes, you know, if you put Rey and Peralta, it's not the same as Peralta and Raul. You know, Raul is that idol that America always covets. You know, since Cuauhtémoc left and Ochoa, Chava Cabañas. You know, right now the idol is Raul Jimenez, and it's really important for a club like America that went through this period of, like, you know, it was a bad period. You know, they were like the laughing stock. You know, teams would go into Estadio Azteca and beat them, and the respect wasn't there. Peláez came in with Pio Herrera, and now this process developed. And among that project was Raúl as one of the biggest forwards. So, I mean, it's a complicated deal. The good aspect, the good detail about this whole ordeal is that Raúl is scoring goals in Mexico. He's not, you know, completely unfocused. You know, like Pulido's not even playing, for example, with this whole deal. Fabian, you know, not really in the mood. Raúl, even though he has the possibility of still going to Europe, he's scoring goals, and that's important.
Well, I like that Mohamed said, you know what, he's not concentrating on the game. He scored already 4 goals after he said that. So we'll see. I've been saying from the beginning, I think he's going to stay, and it's going to be like a Reyes. Maybe next year we'll see him as something. It's just said, okay, we're going to take him. He is definitely, but we're going to take him for, you know, in the next season, or next year, I mean. But, all right, guys, as of Mexican Abroad, just to close this segment, anyone else worth mentioning? Guardado scoring.
He scored now. That's great to see. Is that he's scoring goals.
A right-footed shot, too.
Right foot. Yeah. I know. I was putting that on them.
The goalie was pretty bad. Of course, I think it was worse than, you know, Monstro Alvarez from Mexico or something. But, you know, it's still a goal from Guardado.
It's still a goal from Guardado.
I'll take
with his right foot.
Yeah, I could have hit him in the back and it went in. I don't care. He's just scoring again, and it's nice to see.
And an assist as well.
And I like that he's playing in in the same position that he was playing with Mexico.
The coach.
Was like, whoa.
The coach Espiritu Santo, the Portuguese coach, said that. I mean, he watched the World Cup, he enjoyed it a lot, and told him straightforward, "I want you to play like how you played in the World Cup." And I think that's really important for a player like Guardado. To have a coach understand where he actually plays. I think the whole left back deal was just not right. I think you know. I
think in 4-4-2 where that was in the mid, obviously getting that. But now when we switched over to the Piojo scheme, which by the way, totally unnecessary. How many times have we heard it now? The back line of 3. Oh no, Piojo's the only one doing it. No one does that anymore. When we first started in January talking about it, how many coaches after the World Cup and during the World Cup, and then now are switching over. Who said that back line of 3 is gone? Nobody will play that in the World Cup. Yeah. So
and I think Bengal had a lot to do with it. I mean, Bengal has a whole Bengal has a whole institution, you know, about all the success he's had with Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and he incorporated that back line against Spain, and look what happened. You know, it was demolition of Spanish pride of having this football that was a mark, of that. It was translated all over the world, and all of a sudden it just got obliterated. So I think that was a big moment for that 3-5-2 that's all over the world now.
Exactly.
It's definitely a new hip system.
Pierre was like, I was doing it before. Okay, cool. All right. Well, any other ones to talk about? Hopefully, Aquino moving out. No more Celtic. Now going over to Rayo Vallecano, right? Following Neri Castillo's footsteps. Hopefully not. No. And to see where he's going, I think he's definitely gone because he's not practicing with Villarreal as of today and yesterday from what news just kind of looking at there. So I think he's ready to go out.
And I like I said before the show, a player to put out the name. Let's hope he doesn't get injured and like he keeps on the same role. But Jonathan Dos Santos, he played against Middlesbrough this Saturday, about 20 minutes or so. But looked really sharp with the pass, and looks like a player that will provide a lot of options to Villarreal. You know, it's not Jonathan doesn't arrive to Villarreal. It could be a case that because Giovanni Dos Santos is there, they went out for Jonathan. But, Jonathan does have some qualities to prove. And there's always that sort of deal that, well, he was in Barcelona, but he was always benched. He never played.
He's the biggest fan of Barcelona.
That's the point. And now his chance to prove that all the stuff that he learned in Barcelona was worth it. And let's hope it turns out well.
Yeah, I'm genuinely excited to see what he and his brother can do. And not only what that just means for Villarreal and his career, but what that also could mean for the Mexican national team. It could be really, really exciting to see what he could provide in the middle. I'm stoked to see what he could do in the middle.
Everyone's waiting for Jonathan. We've been waiting for him for 4 years. We've been looking for it. This guy's got amazing talent. He's proven, but sorry, being in Barca's youth system and kicking butt in in those secondary leagues, these shots. I don't think he's done anything with Mexico to require I guess to get looked at, but. A lot of people, he should have been in the World Cup in 2010. Mm-hmm. He had problems when he was going with the down in the Copa America, in the Ecuador, the Quito Gate. So it's great to see him there. I think with his brother, maybe motivating, maybe he needs.
Oh, he's obviously happy too with all those Instagram photos. It's weird too. I'm like looking at my phone. My girlfriend's next to me, and there's shirtless dudes. I'm like, no, it's soccer stuff. I'm just seeing.
Yeah. Today's personal Cesar story brought to you by Instagram and Jonathan Dos Santos' crazy sexy pictures. So I think we're all excited. We want to see him, and he's a very crisp passer. Coming from those Guardiola, coming from that mid, and he can also defend. So I don't know if it's a new DM position that we're looking at, a defensive mid. He can also play. I've seen him play right back. He definitely has that vision of going forward. I've seen him make great passes, not Rafa Marquez kind of passes across in other games. So hopefully we'll see him more, and maybe he does get called to the friendlies coming up just for Piojo to see him. The good thing is that Piojo has said that he wants to see everyone. No one is immediately marked off the list after the World Cup, including Carlos Vela, which will bring us to the next topic. Before we close, anyone else on the Mexicans abroad we're looking at there?
Ulises Davila. He's in England right now with an uncertain future, kind of. I mean, I don't know if he's going to return to Spain. 2 weeks ago, Córdoba already presented a new player. I think it was Fede Cartabria, and he has number 10. Ulises Davila was number 10 last season, so that basically means that he's not coming back to Córdoba. We'll see. I mean, it's a player that is out there. It's a name that's not recognized that much unless you follow the youth 20s from Mexico. But I mean, a guy that came from Chivas, gets signed by Chelsea.
Amazing talent.
Doesn't get played by. I don't think he will get played by Chelsea, but maybe he'll play for a first division Spanish team, perhaps.
And it's that young player, which I feel that these promotores are just putting it in their ear. You got to go. You're so good. You're gonna go. I mean, the Tafi Quarch, Bueno.
Edson Rivera, who went to Braga.
Rivera, who are just you're better than these teams. You're better. You can go. And I feel, is it better for them to stay like Fierro? That Spericueta, getting some minutes, here and there in Villarreal, B. So it's these players who are really that have the potential, and that sometimes going to Europe, where you're really going to go, and are you really going to get playing time? And but at the same time, the good thing is that they're young,
But the problem then becomes when they stick around at the club, get too valuable, and then the club refuses to let them go, a la Marco Fabian, and all these other guys we're talking about. You know, so I mean, it's a two what do we want to say? Double-edged sword.
Yeah. And I think, for example, right now, a player that we can see as an example of the new generations is, look at how Carlos Vela went with his career. I mean, Carlos Vela, it was basically the same story as Uli Dávila. You know, he goes to Arsenal, but never plays in Arsenal, goes to Pamplona, Celta de Vigo, Salamanca, until he makes it big in Real Sociedad. It took some time. It took about 8 years. But he stayed there. The family was a big support to him in this dream of his to succeed in Europe. And now he's seeing the fruits of it. Unfortunately, you don't see those fruits with the national team, but individually, he has achieved a lot in Real Sociedad. You know, and I think that's kind of like the prime example of all these players like Ulises Ávila or Tecatito Corona, who are still developing in Europe.
Tecatito in the first back, right, Cesar?
Yeah, he's back in the first division. You know, as I mentioned, he probably had too much of those Dutch desserts over the summer.
Too much.
Back to the second division.
Let's hope it's desserts. Cesar.
Tecataquito.
Yeah, there.
All right, lots of news. Obviously, before the transfer window closes at the end of this month, so we'll be keeping an eye out on all of the Mexicans and their futures. Who knows? We can have somebody else automatically leave. We're too focused on these. But I'll ask one last question to all three of you. Out of the Mexicans that are going to leave, that are wishing to leave, that are in the cusp of leaving, Pulido, Fabian, Raul, who has to go? Would be a desperate mistake if he stays or doesn't leave this month, in your opinion? Well, you go with...
For me, Fabian has to go.
Okay.
Like, it's just depressing at this point. Like, he is like a prisoner. Like, Chivas won't let him go. They're not getting the money they want, and it's just ridiculous at this point. He really should be playing. Like, it's like whatever the offer is, he should be there in Germany. It would be great for him. It's sad at this point that he's still stuck in Liga MX.
All right, Nayib.
I think I'll have to agree with Jason, with Fabian. I mean, I think we've heard a lot about the Pulido case. We've heard a lot about the Raul Jimenez case. I think those are the big sensationalist news, especially Pulido's, because of not even playing and so forth. But the thing about Fabian is that in 2012, after the Olympics, he had legit offers to go to Europe, and Chivas negated the opportunity for him to leave, because they were saying Fabian's going to be the leader of this team. We need him to stay and blah, blah, blah. And look at now, he's playing in Cruz Azul. He kind of recuperated his form after some devastating months after the World Cup, after the Olympics, because he didn't move to a new club. I think the options were like Benfica and Wolfsburg from Germany, and they didn't happen. Now Stuttgart comes, and who cares if Stuttgart's offering 2 million euros or something? Let him go. I mean, I think, there's actually a team interested in Marco Fabian. There's not that many players like Marco Fabian in Mexico. And if he went to Germany, coached by someone like Armin Beng, who coached Pavel Pardo, Ricardo Soria too, and won the league in Bundesliga. He knows how to treat Mexican players. Why not let Marco Fabian go to Germany, even though he doesn't know the language and might be a little bit scared about, oh shoot, I gotta learn German,
But there's great beer.
But he will have a great time in Oktoberfest. All the players in Germany have a good time in Oktoberfest, and then become professionals. So we'll see. I think Marco Fabian
And Cesar. Who has to leave?
It's a boring answer. I'm going to agree with everybody else. I do feel a little bad for him because obviously in Chivas he had his ups and downs. Maybe it wouldn't have been justified at that point, but I think he's somewhat paid his dues with Cruz Azul. He's obviously shown he's a great player. He's obviously shown he is a great option. And I do feel bad. I believe this is his third attempt to try to go overseas. They definitely have to let him go at this point. And it seems like Thena is willing to let him go, but we'll just see what Vergara has to say.
The drama goes go. Who's not playing? I'm going to go with Pulido. I think he desperately... I mean, what if you imagine not playing for a year or so? I mean, it depends on what's going on with what's happening. I mean, if Tigres ends up winning, that he did have a contract it's like he has to come back. Do you really think the player is going to play anyways?
I believe the situation is so confusing to try to follow that, because it's a lot of like, he says this, they say that. Actually, I'm not on contract. Here's the paperwork, and it's
Here's
really
my paperwork.
odd.
This is where you have it signed. This is where you have. I feel like it's you know how like the banks give you a reoccurring transaction and you don't renew it. So if you don't renew it or you don't say anything, it keeps going. You know, I feel like that's what happened. You didn't say anything. Well, it starts all over again after the World Cup if you don't sign at the dotted lines. I didn't know that. Yes, you did. I'm leaving the club. Go over here, and then you have to Ferretti. Jason, go.
The thing about like all these clubs, like they have to make that decision whether they're going to be charitable to these players, because they're always going to be selling a player for less than they would if they sell them domestically. But you have to wonder if there are, and there probably isn't, but you have to wonder, and I wonder what you guys think, like, are there like negative repercussions for these clubs that refuse to sell players ready to go to Europe? Do you see like negative, anything coming their way? Any like, so I can't even imagine what it would be like. Somehow players are trying to avoid being there and going there because once they go there, they're stuck. Like, do you see anything like negative way coming, like from what has been going on with Monterrey and Tigres and with Chivas, where they're just not letting these players go, or like with great difficulty?
I don't think there's a way to prove, or what they're doing if they're just holding out. Well, we're holding out. We're not getting obviously the investment that we need, or I think it just comes down to the league, and obviously if the league has a final say, then with the Pacto de Caballeros and all of that, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Unless there's some major changes.
There's something in Liga MX that just has to change. For example, right now with the Fabian and Chivas Cruz Azul case. Well, let's say Cruz Azul already told Chivas in Christmas time, we're going to give you 8 million euros for Fabian. And Stuttgart comes and offers 2 million euros. Well, Vergara, of course, wants those $8 million. Because that's the Mexican market. That's what the value. You overvalue the player. You're overvaluing Marco Fabian. Marco Fabian at the moment is not worth $8 million in Europe because he hasn't proven much in Europe to say, it's not like Fabian scored 3 goals in the World Cup, for example. He played several minutes coming out as a substitute. Of course, I think 2 million euros or 3 million euros it's a price in Europe of Fabian. But in Mexico, it looks like Vergara and all the presidents don't accept that kind. They want the 6 million or 8 million, big numbers. It will be interesting to see how Porto, because I read an article in Record about like how Porto is looking at the Mexican market and seeing a lot of potential. I want to see how they, like, for example, they bought Herrera for like $10 million. I want to see how much Porto is going to sell him for. And after the season, perhaps, if he has a good season. That's another problem. That not many Mexican footballers succeed in Europe, like, right away. It takes them 2 or 3 years
to get
to actually... Yeah, so we'll see.
We're very expensive.
The Herrera case is going to be interesting to follow.
We're very expensive. So we're like cars. Our value goes down once we set off the lot. All right, well... Great talk, great, obviously, discussion about all of the players that we have out there, especially in Europe. It's an ongoing, every day we see rumors this, rumor that. But the good thing is that we're seeing finally happening with Ochoa. Obviously, Rafa Marquez out of nowhere. And it looks like to be that Villarreal's, obviously, Aquino's leaving. And from our discussion, even Raul Jimenez might be going off. So hopefully we get to talk about next week about the big change for Chicharito or the big change for Raul or any other of the Mexicans abroad. But all right, switch it up with the Liga MX this weekend, week 3 already. More goals, very exciting. So many people tweeting about America, about the, still undefeated, doing things right with its players, beating Puebla 4-0 with the Cuauhtemoc Blanco, who at that age still has what we all love about him. If you saw that quick play, if you haven't seen that, there's
kind of looked like he was about to punch him
in the face, come back and go to right, and it worked. So we're going into and on fire. Raul Jimenez got the Águilas of América to an impressive 4-0 victory over relegation, threatened Puebla away at the Cuauhtemoc Stadium. Right now, my concentration is on América. My head is here, and my representative is well aware of that. That's what I want to do. That's what Jimenez said after the match. The Águila striker played the way for America's victory with a hat-trick that has him as the league's top scorer with 4 goals. America is the current league leader with 3 straight wins, with Puebla hopes of salvation seems to dwindle with each passing game. Probably what everyone was talking about, America still being on top. Raul's 3 goals in the league. Give us your thoughts on, obviously, America, looking to be the top dog of Liga MX right now. Right? Good.
Seems that way. Another impressive win. At least we had their doubts. With the first couple wins, they kind of got past. There wasn't anything really stamping, but at the same time, Puebla has a way of losing by 4 goals occasionally. So it's a good win. Long season to go, but everyone thought, they're going to be right there, top of the league somewhere, top 3 spots, and a pretty good chance at the title.
Again, Raul Jimenez with an amazing display, like we've been talking about, with another penalty kick. Just the amazing way to take it. Just the confidence that guy has. Cesar.
I was just saying, I think it's easy for us all to talk about the attack, but if you rewatch the game, Moises Munoz actually had a decent game as well. And I think that's something to bring up, how effective it looks like America are going to be going forward. And it wasn't just all Raul Jimenez, show going forward. Moises Munoz actually had some pretty decent saves against Puebla. The first half, I think, was a little bit more even than I thought it would be. Obviously, the second half, America took charge, but the first half was definitely, especially for Munoz, he had a good showing.
Definitely good. Around the league, Querétaro 2-0 over Pachuca. Tijuana 1-1, which only had 9 shots in the entire game, versus Tigres. Cruz Azul 0-0 versus Veracruz. Monterrey 0-0 Santos. León 4-0, obviously, finally winning with a great result, obviously, against a Morelia who's struggling, who still has not scored in this season. Atlas 4-2 against Chiapas, which we're probably looking at to be one of the best games and over this weekend. Who would have thought? They're up there, obviously. Atlas, actually, Jason would have thought. And also Toluca's 2-1 Pumas. Guys, what games other than the America game stood out for you this weekend, and why? Jason?
Atlas and Chiapas, actually, surprisingly. No, Atlas is awesome. They're fantastic.
Are you switching teams, Jason? Is this something you want to?
He probably has 2 Atlas scarves in the back you don't see.
They're obscured at the moment,
Marshall's
but it's fine.
team is Atlas.
They're just a fun team to watch, and they're exciting, and I love this Luis Caballero, this young player who's come on this season with them, and he is a really exciting player. Him and a skate up front. It's just an exciting team to watch, and I really like them going forward. And I like this match was extriguing because of what came in, where Chiapas got off to a great start as well. So it was kind of exciting to see these 2 teams play, and they both really kind of put out an interesting performance. So I don't know. I'm really looking at Atlas going forward as a thing, and so I'm gonna throw out a unfounded, bizarre theory that I have absolutely no backing for, and I'm just kind of pulling out of nowhere.
It's all right.
But yeah, I kind of wonder now that Azteca has purchased Atlas, whether they are kind of going away, because when they originally they got away from, they sold Chiapas and only had Morelia to get down to the 1 team. And now they got back into the market and they bought Atlas. And I kind of wonder if they're kind of going away from Morelia a bit, and they're kind of making them a secondary team, and Atlas is going to be their main focus, and kind of shifting away from Morelia. And even if they're going to eventually sell off Morelia and make Atlas their main focus, and based on just recent transfers and the way these teams are going, I kind of see that as a possibility.
Well, if they have the success of taking just 1 club and just kind of pushing out Morelia out, I can see it happening. Why not? Just like Chiapas, and seeing that. But who knows if it really will happen if they do that? The good thing is that Atlas has a history. It's a great club. The history of Atlas is huge, and the long history. So why not invest in that team and what they're doing?
It's in Guadalajara, not Morelia. I think that's a big difference.
Yeah,
that too. So good little theory. We'll see how that would pan out. And thoughts for you guys if Nayib or
yeah,
Cesar
I think
on
it's just with Jason. I mean, one thing that struck me was the move from Aldo Leao. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Aldo Leao has had great seasons with Morelia. Even it was unfortunate that he didn't play in the World Cup, but he was actually going to be a starter in Peckerman's Colombia. And now he's in Atlas. Atlas has more players. I mean, they brought this Maicon Leite, who's 26 years old and has already 2 assists. Brazilians. A good Brazilian. It used to be that Atlas would bring crappy Brazilians, but now they're bringing good Brazilians.
Crappy Brazilians.
The ones that play good jogo bonito, the ones that's dying out in Brazil, actually. That's kind of interesting. But you do see that kind of, you think about it a little bit more. The history, the youth systems, the youth ranks in Atlas always produce great players. I mean, come on, Marquez is one of them. We've been talking about Marquez. We're talking about Guardado. They're players that came out from the Atlas youth system, and it's a great market. Ochoa is from Guadalajara. He was
Pardo, I think, was there.
Pardo, Borghetti, players that right now, Paleta Esqueda is actually playing good right now with Atlas.
Really good.
That's kind of surprising.
For 2018.
Well, you never know. I mean, right now with the scarcity of forwards that Mexico has, a player that Esqueda does have a shot because there's so little Mexican forwards. I mean, even Cubo Torres in Chivas USA has a shot right now. You gotta, when you think about future forwards, I mean, that's what we have right now.
Are we going to be tuning into the MLS All-Star game? Is that what you're saying?
Cubo Torres is going to play in the All-Star game. Why not? You never know. What if he scores a goal against Bayern Munich? One of those Chilenas he's been scoring in MLS.
Oh, man. Well, we'll see what's happening with the Jason's theory. Keep us updated with that, and the I told you so sign when that does happen.
I'll add just some other ridiculous theory next week, so it's fine.
Good. Jason's ridiculous theory. What stuck out for you, Cesar, this weekend? No weddings at the Xolos game for sure, like last time. But what else stuck out for you?
I mean, I guess the Pumas game. It's a little.
What game? Pumas game. Actually,
yeah. It was just a little strange, and I wrote about this a little bit about how they've gone. It's the second game in a row where they've had an extra man on the field, and they still unable to win the match. I know that's not a big deal, and I know last season, I think they didn't win their first 3 games, but it's still pretty worrying when you're not able to win. I mean, I think the red card, I think it was given, at the 44th minute, so they had a full half where they had man up. And it was just interesting to see them it seemed like they had no ideas going forward.
Well, it can be tricky playing with 10 men against 10 men, according to Luis Trejo saying. Right? It's what he said in the press conference. It could be tricky playing against 10 men. It's unexplainable, but sometimes playing against 10 can be complicated. It can be even counterproductive.
That's worst excuse I've ever heard.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think after week 1, it was really exciting what we saw from Pumas, and now we're kind of okay. It's not like Pumas are a disaster now, but it's kind of well, the hopes that maybe this was going to be a real standout season for them seem to be fading.
I think they go back and it's they had a horrible season a year ago. A horrible 4 months starting out, the Apertura, and then they had a great, Clausura, and then we expect them to have a great Clausura. When you go, it's not like they had a great. It was just a difference of what happened between the first to the second, the first part of the year, the second part of the year, and in football terms, obviously. So I don't see that big of a surprise because they really didn't do anything last year other than not suck, as they did the season before. And now it's we're starting to see that they have nobody. Tell me what player. Other than
Britos.
Yeah, Britos. That's it. And Britos was given by Leon, who I saw many mistakes many times. Who I'm it's not that big of a deal if we lose. There really isn't anyone there. They don't have any players.
They got the Picolines.
The Picolines.
That's all right.
There you go.
You have to go. But we'll see that. Other game for you, Nayib. What game stood out for you?
I think there's a lot of different ones. We already touched base on most of them, but maybe a little bit specific. I like seeing Egidio Arevalo Rios playing with Tigres. It's because it's that fighter kind of midfielder. You know that you don't. Well, it's just this guy. It's like he's doesn't have an age. I mean, just keeps appearing, keeps appearing. It seems like he has like 5 or 10 lungs in him or something. Doesn't stop running. It's a leader. You know, he's playing in Monterrey. I think his wife is from Monterrey. You know, it's going to be a key player for Tigres. And if Tigres becomes a candidate as the season goes on, is the big reason it's going to be because of Ahirio Arevalo Rios. You know, that he gave the assist to Juninho against Cholos. But I think it's a player to follow. I mean, it's really specific, but I think you know, sometimes not the nice moves or the nice goals are what get your attention. It's actually, you know, the sacrifice and kind of the fighter mentality that a player like Ahirio Arevalo Rios has. It's pretty scary as well. I mean, if you see him, you know, you don't want to mess with Arevalo.
It's true.
Mother for me, obviously, León finally getting a win against Morelia, 4-0 coming in, which I felt it was a little bit, didn't really tell the game, 4-0 if you didn't see the game, but if you watched the game, they still have a lot to prove in that game, I guess, obviously Morelia, but good to see Gulit Peña coming back. Now 2 games, great pass, nice little lob, little chip that he did in the game, but good to see him get his stamina. Good to see him get his game back. Feel like he's finally let go of his brother Luis of Montes. You know, obviously, all right. Well, you're not coming back. I gotta do this by myself. So I think that's great. That's how I saw it. He's like, all right. I guess you're not coming back. I gotta learn how to play without you. So I think it's great for him to come back and player to watch. Always have seen last season. Same, probably one of the best players that will make the transfer. And now that he is well and rested, we'll see what's happening. So, anything else other than Liga MX that we need we talk about? Tijuana and Tigres, we talk. Cruz Azul, Veracruz, Monterrey. We're looking at, obviously, Chivas not playing. It's postponed until further. They have
the Chivas is playing AC Milan on Wednesday in Houston.
Right?
It'll be interesting to see how much this actually helps Chivas. I think against Bayern Munich, you were there, Jason. I mean, you could tell that there was a clear difference between having Aldo de Nigris and Omar Bravo on top, and then putting Carlos Fierro Nápoles on top. It was like
that's right.
The team looked better with Fierro Nápoles. We'll see if that moves on with against AC Milan. And if it actually boosts confidence in the team and makes them, you know, not just depend on Fernando Arce's goals. You know, I think you got to see something else from Chivas and see if these games against top European clubs actually help in the long run or not help.
Yeah, I think it could. I mean, I was pretty impressed with how they played. I mean, it didn't come off great. The end result wasn't great. They were certainly overpowered, but they played as a pretty good unit. Like they fought. They really fought out there.
They fought, actually. I think
that too. But I mean, it was a pretty good showing for them. So like, I think they've looked good so far. So I mean, they definitely look on track, and I don't think this will hurt them, especially that the league has given this concession and pushed the game back. So I think they'll be in pretty good shape for this. I
thought it was entertaining watching them. I really thought that maybe they could have get a goal here or there. I mean, I'd say they had some good shots.
Fierro had one shot that he was like alone inside the box and missed.
Yeah. You know, Bravo, even them. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was definitely better than the America match against Atletico. I mean, they came to play. Guardiola was even upset. I mean, it looked like a game that there was going on. So it was great to see that. Good for you, Chivas fans, obviously. We'll see what's happening, but it will be postponed, as we were talking against which I like to call the Clásico of the south of Guadalajara against the Leones Negros, and we'll see where that. Hopefully, I think Tom Marshall might be going to the game and giving us a great report there. So we'll see that.
Yeah, and I mean, just to see if the weekend off helped Leones Negros just kind of get the stuff together, because their defense was looks pretty awful.
They could use a little hiatus, so yeah.
Definitely, yes. So looking forward to next week. What are your games that you are the most likely to watch that we are going to be talking about for the following week? Looking at the leagues, let's see here. I mean, obviously, looking at the Apertura leaderboard, you know, America and Atlas up top, and also Monterrey up top. Still as we know, Leones Negros not getting any points. And who are you most surprised by? I mean, Monarcas, Xolos with just 1 point, and you're kind of looking at that. But is it surprising? Obviously, we talked about it last week with Atlas, and doing that well. Everyone else just kind of in the mid. Obviously, 3, 4 points, 5 points. Tigres and Querétaro, I think, was up there with 6 points. But from the matches for next week, who are you most likely to see and to follow? Can America do it again? Keep going.
I'm actually interested to see what Leones Negros could do against Toluca at home. I think that should be a pretty interesting matchup to see, especially since I feel like the whole Lucas Lobos thing hasn't exactly been working out for Toluca, and I think they kind of need to come back. But I think that'd be an interesting matchup. Trying to see what else is interesting here.
This is not interesting.
No, actually, no, I'm not going to watch anything else.
I mean, you got the Cruz Azul Puebla.
Yeah, Cruz Azul Puebla. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep seeing on what will that.
Yeah, Cruz Azul Puebla, because I was reading. Cruz Azul has 1 goal. Cruz Azul has 1 goal in 53 shots. I mean, they've taken 53 shots and there's only 1 goal. So let's see if they can put some in. The Pachuca Chivas is interesting. I mean, Pachuca. Yeah.
There's a real Cruz Azul trend developing with obviously in that Pachuca match where they had the 2-man advantage, they put up a few shots in there. But this match with Veracruz this weekend played out in similar fashion because Veracruz effectively defended 90 minutes, and it was a similar thing where Cruz Azul were amassing shots. Fabian had 4 or 5 decent chances in the first half and just missed a few times. So it's just they're just amassing all these chances and not scoring. It's getting to be a little troubling.
It's also worrisome to see. I was actually a little excited to see Anibal Zurdo, who used to play the Spanish second division. And I was stoked. I was like, oh, let's see what he could do.
He could do something.
Headbutt some guy. That's what he does in his first game.
Oh my God.
Welcome to Liga MX for Anibal Zurdo.
It's just crazy. Anibal Zurdo story is interesting. I mean, it just came out of the blue, and all of a sudden it was like, man, he can actually play for El Tri. It never happened, never will, but and now he ends up playing in Mexico, and gets red carded in his first game. I mean, what a story.
We'll see what's going on. All right, guys. Anything else for the Liga MX looking at for these next games? I mean, obviously Morelia Tijuana, Veracruz Monterrey, Cruz Azul Puebla, America Tigres, which I think would be a good game.
That's a good match.
Yeah. Pachuca Chivas. I think would be a good one. Pachuca has gotten off to a rocky start, so it'd be interesting to see if they can kind of turn around and if Guadalajara is going to keep the momentum going too. So I'll be interested in that one.
Pumas Atlas. Will Pumas finally get a win? I mean, a positive result was all right. Leon Chiapas, which I think will be a hard game for Leon. Sitting on Chiapas. So we will see. Definitely, we always tweet during the games. If you guys are on, definitely someone else tweeting the game. So we'll see what's going on. Last but not least, some news really quick to end the show. Piojo obviously coming out saying goodbye Salcido, goodbye Rafa. Looking into the forward, not looking up naturalizados. One thing that he did say, Germany winning, look how many they have, not closing the door for them. Automatically, I don't see this time around being a naturalizado sticking out. Oh, you have to call him.
No. There's
really not anybody that I could think of that it's
time has passed.
Yeah, I mean, if you can look at 4 years ago with Achita and Lucas Lobos, which I always thought that would be a great addition to the team, but I don't see anyone really, a controversy out there or anybody like that. So it's a good thing that he does that. No one's out there that's saying no, but. I like the fact that he's keeping that options open. He will be traveling to Europe in February next year. He did say to come out and talk to everybody. He did say that he's going to talk to everyone, and if they say no, again, then that's their last time. That's his last time. So everyone looking at Carlos Vela. Talk to him one more time to see what's the deal, what you want to come back, what's going on, and see if we're able to bring him back to, one of the best players. I think the best Mexican player last year, at least. During the season in Liga, and he wasn't there with Mexico for all the problems that we already know. But we'll see how that turns out. Really quickly, in a yes or no more than a couple of words, do you think Carlos Vela will return to El Tri? Cesar? Put you on the spot.
Man. I'm going to say if anytime within the next, 6 to 12 months, no. But I think there's a potential for the future.
Yeah. So with Piojo, at least?
Yes.
Okay. Jason?
No, I think he's done. I think he's going to spur them one more time, and then it'll be done.
And Nayib?
I'd say yes. I think there's still some hope of some type of convincing, especially from players that are close to him, like Moreno and Giovanni. It's a new process. It's a coach that actually has shown that he wants to have him in his team, like Piojo already has said it openly. That kind of stuff should maybe make it enticing for him to return. A World Cup, come on, play a World Cup in 2018 will probably be his last shot at something, and be in a team with people that he actually enjoys being around, like Giovanni and Hector Moreno, who will theoretically be the leaders of the new national team.
Definitely, yeah.
I think that actually is a good thing to point out, is that he is genuinely friends with these guys, and you'll see a bunch of photos of online, them all hanging out and whatnot, especially in Spain. So hopefully they'll be able to convince him, be like, hey, Russia, kind of cool. I was about to say how awesome Russia is, but the World Cup, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I see. I think if the suits upstairs leave, I think he comes back. I think we know what the problem is. It's he always said it's not a coach. He said it before, so everybody thought it was Chepo. But I think it's not necessarily Gonzalo Iñárritu, but Josino Compián and Decio de Maria. I think when those guys move on to whatever things that they do after the FMF, I think that's maybe when he'll come back. And I think he said straight out, I'm not going to even attempt to come back unless those guys are off for what happened in 2-3 years ago. So I hope that he comes back, but I don't see it happening unless there's a change.
I guess the big question now is that now that the World Cup has happened, did he play FIFA on his PlayStation?
Yes.
I don't know.
En el Play.
I know. I don't know.
All right, guys. Hopefully,
I'm always here to ask the important questions.
Always ask the important questions.
Hard-hitting stuff.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure, obviously, with our guest and today, the analyst guy Cesar, who is now part of the FootMex Source cast. He has definitely 2 or 3 articles a week that he's putting out for us at FootMex Source, and also with ESPN FC and the Big Verde blog that he has done for many years. So, Cesar, thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Jason, Soccer Mexicana, definitely a great, if you have not, for the listeners out there, definitely take a gander and go into it and read many of his ways that he writes about the Mexican soccer in a different way.
Please do.
Yes. And follow him at Soccer Mexicana. And Nayib, who was in Spain last year. Hopefully they'll be resolving the future where Nayib is going. Can you give us a little sneak peek of where you might be able to end up or what you're doing?
Well, right now, all my writing goes to Soccerly. So, all the Mexican abroad pieces that I put out, that will go for Soccerly. In the upcoming weeks, I hope I can renew with Fox and see what the plan is. And I don't know where I'm going to be. I can't say the location just yet. I don't want to be say something and it doesn't happen.
Rupert Murdoch obviously listens to this show.
Yeah.
Well,
but just following Mexican soccer wherever it may lead me. That's, I think, how I could put it up. But it's interesting times. It's a new proceso, new 4 years. The World Cup is in 4 years and all that. We got the Copa America this year and the Copa Oro. Should probably be really interesting to follow. And just keep seeing Piojo Herrera making those crazy ass celebrations.
There you go.
It's pretty exciting times. And hopefully if there's another player moves to Europe, that would be pretty nice.
Good. Well, thank you, Nayib, Jason, and Cesar. For me, keep looking at more updates and also little video segments with FootMex Source. Obviously, they're in there. Please share this show. The more popular we get, obviously, we get discussion. Tweet us. You can also write to us on our Twitter, and also the comments below. If you're YouTube and you have a profile, definitely keep the conversation going. What you like, what you didn't like, discussing with us. We're more likely like to talk about it for next week's in topic points. So Facebook, Twitter, and any medium that you have. Thank you so much for giving us the time to spend with you all with the Mexican Soccer Show. We'll be here again next week. I am Wiso from FootMexSource.com, and Have a great week. Watch out for all those transfer rumors. Don't believe everything you hear. And have a good day.
Cue the music.